We have a fun subject today, dreams. A lot of people ask me what their dreams mean, or what are they, what does this mean, what does that mean, and I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. This is going to be real simple, and it's going to help you to interpret your own dreams and decide what they are. Should you be afraid of certain ones? Are they the future to come? Is it a warning? Or what else could it possibly mean that is very important? In fact, you should pay attention to your dreams. They reveal a lot about you. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. Come on, let's all get it together. Let's talk about the dream state. What is the dream state? This is real simple, so once I explain this, you can put it in a context where you realize that you, along with everybody else, has amazing answers and access to all kinds of cool stuff. All right, first of all, the dream state is simply you going outside of your body into a quantum field where everything exists, all right, without barriers. So what's happening is you no longer are tethered to, well, you have an attachment to your body. You never have to worry about that. You're attached to your body. You will be able to get back in your body because obviously the life force is still there. But you, the expansive light being that you are, and by the way, this is what meditation does, this is what awakening does for you, expands you outside of the physical body into the realm where everything's happening, everything exists, your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, that experience you had, people that have passed on, probabilities, things that you worry about, everything's in the field. So a lot of people, they want to like put it in a box somewhere. Well, they reveal this or they reveal that. And the truth is, it is a combination of all the things. Your frequency. So a lot of people tell me that they go into the dream state and that they get dark energies and other things, and they consistently get these things. And that would be because there's a part of their energy field that's connecting. Once they go out into this quantum field without the hindrance of the density of the body, that frequency is now connecting to other frequencies in that space. All right? So if you're consistently getting the dark energies showing up, then you probably are in, and I'll say probably, and I'll explain why it's only probably, in a lower frequency of fear or anxiety of some kind, and you might not even realize it. And when you open up to that, they are in the same room with you. That's a think of every frequency as a different room, a different, as I tell you, my father has many mansions, different realities, and within that reality there are different levels. Those are frequencies. So within our reality, our mansion, which is planet Earth, a program, a matrix, a hologram, it's our mansion. And so within it, we can have multiple, endless realities within it. So that's why you should never tell people how things are if you really want to understand this, because they have their own reality that's just as real as yours, and it's all true. So when you raise your frequency, you get to the penthouse where there's an amazing view, and we serve champagne up there, right? But you never knew it existed because you were in a dark basement with no windows, and for you that might be your world. And until you raise your frequency and you let go of all those things and those beliefs and thoughts that keep you there, you cannot progress. Get on the elevator and power it with your frequency. The same goes when you go into the dream state, except instead of all the thoughts and the beliefs and the human stuff that holds you back, you now go into an expansive space where you can fly and, everything's possible. So if you are going to a space that is frightening or worrisome or whatever, that's the energy field that you have created that is now more expansive without the human body and the you that you think of yourself as. Have you ever gone to that dream state and you really don't look like you, or you really don't associate with being you? It's because you could be anybody, and you might be transforming into all of the endless roles that you've played. Now here's the other important part. So once you go into that space, you got to pay attention. This is where the interpretation comes. Pay attention to if those dreams are pleasant or not. Because you are now taking that energy field out. So that's the number one thing is if you're going into unpleasant spaces, then you have to pay attention to what the scenario was within that dream state, that dream. And it absolutely is a reflection of your energy field and what you're feeling. That's why it's tough for other people to interpret your dreams like this is how it is. If you dream of a horse, it means this. Well, maybe you dream of a horse because, as a child you had a horse and it comes to visit you in your dreams because you release all your barriers in the physical world. And in a dream state, because you have no barriers, the horse can come visit you, right? Because the horse is, everywhere. It all exists. Now, when you have situations within the dream, the second thing that you're doing is you're creating adventures. Because you have no barriers, you create adventures. So wherever you are in your, frequency field, your thoughts and your beliefs, you will create adventures within that. And those other participants are real. Okay, so I've actually, oh my gosh, have you ever had this happen? I actually, when I was coming out of a dream state, a friend of mine, just a business person that I hadn't seen in a few years, showed up in my dream, and I actually said, Jay, what are you doing here? I was very aware. I was in that, just coming out, so you're very cognizant. I said, what are you doing here? I was aware he was in my dream. And I can't remember what he said. It was something brief. And I woke up, and within minutes of me waking up, he called me. And I said, Jay, I just had a dream, and I spoke to you in it. He said, I did the same thing. He said, I just had a dream, and I spoke to you. He said, and I had to call you because it was so weird. Because we were aware that we're in each other's dreams. It's a space outside of the human body that allows you to connect with other people. Now, why did I connect with him? I really don't know. There are going to be certain people and things that happen. Only you, this is why it's so important for you to interpret your own dreams first. And that is, no one can know your personal relationships with other people. You know them, and you may not have told other people personal relationships. Maybe you've always had a crush on somebody, you've never revealed it, and all of a sudden, this scenario gets played out. Now, have you ever noticed, like, you'll be with somebody you haven't seen in absolute ages, they'll show up? Have you had loved ones show up? Everything's in the field. So if you are on a higher frequency and you're in a good space in your life, you will have a tendency to do adventurous, fun things. Now, in my dreams, I'm always with a lot of people, and it's never in places I know. I have gone back to the same places, cities and places that I've never been to as a human, which could be a past life. Now, if you have reoccurring dreams of places and events and people that you don't recognize in this lifetime, it is most likely a past experience, okay? A past lifetime, and something may have happened there that you have some kind of strong, not necessarily an attachment to, but a strong connection to. Now, when I told you about the dark entities, it's not necessarily that you're in a dark space. Most of the time that is the case. Every once in a while, I want you to understand this, and because I want to take you in a space of breaking through fear. I always say, let's break through fear. What happens is, as human beings, we still bring that energy field with us. So we still have fears when we go into the dream state because that's part of our energy field. When you move past fear as a human, when you go into that space, the dream state, you will not be afraid over there also. So again, you're bringing that energy field into the unlimited quantum space. This is why we got to get this straight. If you go into that space and everything's out there, if you are an open person and you're connecting in a high spiritual way, dark entities can also show up. They aren't necessarily negative toward you, okay? Sometimes you will run into these things, and they are trying to communicate with you. One of my viewers, my subscribers, sent me amazing information, and I'll talk to him about this later, about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them. And there's way too many stories about this for us to think that it doesn't exist, right? It's just been going on forever, but yet they're so elusive. Now, we as human beings are fearful, just the same way we're fearful of extraterrestrials, because we've been programmed by other human beings to be afraid of that. Because as soon as we become friends with all these things out there that we're told are fearful, we're one galactic community, but we're told by other humans to, humans are good and that's bad and they're up to no good. And of course, if you're in a negative state, whatever you experience, you're going to interpret as bad, like abductions. If you don't understand what that is, and I'm not going to go into my personal opinion on that, right? If you don't understand what that is and what the agreements are to help humanity move forward, then you're going to interpret it a completely different way. Of course, we forget all this stuff, right? So I want you to understand, as a human, you're going to bring those fears. So if you go into the dream state and you run into a Sasquatch or a darker energy or whatever, by the way, I'm not connecting those two because I don't believe that they are negative energy fields. As humans, we're fearful of that. So we might think it's a bad dream or something's attacking us, when in fact, if you can, as a human, start to move past all the fears that you have of what we're told is bad or scary or we have to be afraid of, then you can actually get messages and amazing information from them. Even if some of it's a little bit off, you don't have to believe everything, but you can learn from it. All right? Even dark energies are all us. They're all us. They're the darker exploration of the one. So of course we can learn from that, but when you stop being fearful, your power supersedes everything. So I want you to understand, this is why, and I work with my students, I do some coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I've helped many students end the interpretation and beliefs of the fear of what those things are. And as soon as they let it go, they're not in the lower frequency that allows the negative or lower frequency energies to play with them. Oh, this is fun. Fear. They love fear. It's a game for them. So when you realize that, they don't have power over you, but when you are fearful and you go into the dream state, you are a playmate for them. It's really that simple. It's neither good nor bad. It's just where they're playing. Eventually they go off and, raise their frequencies and do different things and learn their lessons and teachings just like we do. So it's so important for you to break through fear. Now, those of you who've been in my Breakthrough Fear course, come on over. Anybody who hasn't taken it, it has 5 stars. I have had unbelievable, reviews from that. Why? We break down all the barriers, because when you go into a dream state, you're getting so many messages of what you feel and think and where your frequency is. The things you must work on, the things that you fear, the things that maybe that you desire, all right? Have you ever gone into a dream state and gotten back with a ex-boyfriend or girlfriend and it was just amazing and you had this great relationship with them, and it's not necessarily means that's going to happen. It means that this is something very pleasant that you want to create in your playground out there. Now let's talk about future events. I have had many, many future events through dreams. Now what I do is I keep a journal, because you don't want to say, oh, I had that dream and they're going to prove it. If you have a journal, you say, see, on this date I wrote this. And you may not be able to interpret it exactly the right way. I'll give you an example of one of the dreams I had that actually happened the next day. I wasn't connected to this at all. So be aware that you say, well, I'm not connected to this event that happened. It doesn't affect you. But when you go in the quantum field, you see everything. We are all connected to everything. So even though it doesn't seem to be connected to you, you have a view. All of a sudden, you go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, you have a view of everything, right? whether you recognize anything or not, you still have the view. And that's what happens when you go into this field. All right, so future events. I saw two planes collide. One lost its wing. The other one was able to land. And the second one, who didn't have a wing, people were, not with parachutes, people were jumping out of the plane, landing on the pavement and running. And they were fine. I thought, what is that? It made no sense at all. The next day I woke up, I happened to be on the internet, and I saw that two planes, one was carrying parachuters, and they collided, and the one with the parachuters had a wing clipped off, but because they were loaded with parachuters, that was the one that was not going to land very well. The other one was able to land okay, and the one with parachuters, they did deploy their parachutes and landed safely. In my dream, they didn't have the parachutes. I just saw them land, right? Why did I have that dream? I don't know. I just happen to be in the realm. So don't think that it has some personal meaning all the time, because you as the person don't exist out there. You bring that individual energy field, but you're still more one than anything, and that's why everything exists there. I've also predicted, I didn't predict, I just tapped into a future event of a plane crash. I knew exactly how many people died on it, where they hit, what the plane looked like, and on the day, I had the date. Here's the worst part about that. Now, those you have to, when you get specifics, I want you to write them down and make sure you pay attention to that. I happened to be flying that day, and two of my friends were too, flying to other cities. And I asked them what the plane looked like, and none of us were on a plane that was white with just one red stripe. We were all on completely different looking planes. I felt okay about that. Still not totally okay, because your dreams aren't always going to be 100%, Like I said, jumping out of a plane, they didn't have parachutes in my dream. A plane went down that day, and exactly the way I saw it, and it was white with a red stripe. Now, always pay attention to everything and look at it as an individual and say, this is a reflection of my feelings. If you're seeing things that could be interpreted as future events, if you see things, write them down. We can't always stop these things, but what it is it's not always something warning you. Sometimes you're just, like I said, at the top of the Eiffel Tower seeing everything. You're just accessing everything. You can do something about certain things when you access it and you see certain things, like a plane and a certain date. Then you can pay attention and maybe put out some warnings or whatever. So all you're doing is accessing everything in your energy field. Your feelings, your frequencies are all in that playing field. It's an amazing space to go. Now, this is why you should be so cognizant and aware, so aware of what you expose yourself to. If you are on social media or any kind of media, it's misinformation, and people hear stuff, and the things that they say is true just blows my mind. They have no basis for anything, but people we're very gullible humans, and so all these things go around, and it creates fear, and it creates these beliefs that you have. And so if you go to bed at night with these negative energies, with watching the news, with arguing and debating things that don't even matter in the long run, it's not really who and what we are, you take that energy field, and that's why you can have some very disturbing dreams, because that energy field is with you. It's not just, that was the last thing I saw. It's an energy field. So now when you go into the dream state, you're entering that energy field, because that was the most prominent thing in your mind. It's a focus. So the quantum field, whatever you focus on, you create, right? So if that's the last thing, this is why meditate before you go to bed. Don't watch any kind of media. Even shut down commercials. They're so here in the United States, they're actually insulting. They're insulting. Things that you eat, everything you do is part of your energy field. So your interpretation of dreams, I want you to remember, take into account it's a space where everything is. Your loved ones will come and visit you. My dad, oh my gosh, I haven't seen him in a while, but he used to visit me all the time. Now, I remember in the dreams, my dad, my family were just huggy, kissy people. And in the dream, my dad never hugged or kissed me. He was just there for me all the time. He was always like this guide in my dreams and helped me through things, and showed up in a boat once when I needed one, and showed up with a car when I needed to go someplace. It was just so much fun. But I was thinking when I woke up, isn't that odd that my dad never hugs or kisses me? And in human life, he did. So I thought, because they don't feel the same way when they're out of their bodies. They feel pure love, so they don't need to express it that way as humans do. We do that to express, to let somebody know that we love them. When they go over there, they feel that love, right? They don't have to express it that way. So I thought that, and the next time I had a dream, what did my dad do in the dream? He hugged and kissed me and hugged and kissed me. I said, okay, enough of the hugging and kissing. I get it. And I thought, oh my gosh. I'm still in that space. You don't separate yourself when you come back in your body, and you don't actually come back in your body. You're focused in your body. And so that space of all things still remains, and those who are in that space and outside of their bodies are very aware of you, okay? So, obviously he got my message, and he decided that he was going to let me know, yes, oh, I love you. That's right. We hugged and kissed as humans. There are so many amazing things. Now, some of these negative dreams you have aren't negative at all. They could be just very strong storylines. So when you wake up, write the storyline and ask yourself, what's the message? What is the message in there? I remember I had this horrific, I didn't have fear in the dream, but a horrific dream. And I mean, it was pretty gory. I didn't have fear, but I thought that what a horrible thing it was. And I probably should tell you, but it's pretty gory. And in the dream, I remember when I woke up how symbolic it was of humanity and what was going on. And I realized that was not a horrific, frightening dream. If you pulled your fear away from it, it was a very significant, telling dream of things that are happening out there, of who we are as humanity. And it was powerful, and all of a sudden there was no goriness in it all of a sudden, because I know it's just a dream. Remember that this is another illusion. These are all illusions out there, just as this is an illusion. Everything's just a creation of an illusion and a story and an adventure. You, the perfect light being, are never harmed. No one can harm you. That's why people are afraid of each other and make up stories and separate each other. It's just insanity, because the truth is, you cannot be destroyed. You always were, you always will be. You're perfect and amazing. We're all one thing. The other is you, exploring everything it can be. Can we all just get along? And again, I have videos where I tell you, acceptance doesn't mean approval, but accept the fact that we're all explorations of the one, being everything we can be. The teachings, the test, is how you personally are going to behave with that challenging person, with that murderer or that abuser. How am I going to participate in this whole storyline to be the positive change? Because that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve here in this holographic cray-cray game that we play. So I hope you'll subscribe and share these. Interpreting your dreams, again, is going into the field of all things where loved ones will show up. You can ask them in advance to show up for you, but don't command things. They have free will to show up when they should. Sometimes you're not meant to know certain things. Have an acceptance of this. Go explore that space in that field. I have so much fun when I dream. Oh my gosh. It's so exciting. Sometimes I don't want to wake up because I'm having so much fun. And I'm always into these interesting things that are going on. But again, control the energy that you feed yourself here, because you're taking it with you, and you don't want your dreams to be dominated with all of that, because it can be very disturbing. And you sort of block yourself from going into the other space where you get to explore the fun stuff. Don't be afraid of what's over there. It's all part of us. It's just another dimension of us, right? Us, the light beings. And so listen to them and ask questions. And when you go in and you don't have fear, you'll realize that there's never been anything to be afraid of. because we are just one beautiful, all existing, all wonderful creation, and that is part of the creation. So go into that field and create. Ask for advice. Ask to see. I've had angels and masters, have had them visit me and told me a few things. Yeah, one of them basically gave me the old spiritual butt kick. Basically, what are you doing? Are you ready to get to work? And I did, quit my investment banking job, and here I am with you. So again, it can be life-changing for you if you pay attention. All right, so if you guys are interested in free videos, launching online businesses, millions of people are doing it. Those jobs they're all quitting, they're getting income by creating things that they love. I have free stuff down in the description called Manifest Anything. That's my own video series. Come take a course. Come join the Miracle Circle. It's only $30. And please subscribe and share the positive news that there's never anything to be afraid of, that you're a creator and that everybody else is, and everyone is equal within the power, because everyone is one power. It's all an illusion, so have fun with it. Learn from it. So if anything comes to you that you believe is bad, it's a learning, it's a teaching, it's a message. Pay attention in the most positive way, not with fear. And you'll be amazed at what comes to you and for you. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my dear friend. Namaste.